but I do like to do kind of narrative essays. So this is called Your Podcast Identity. So growing up in Mission, Texas in the 1960s and 1970s, I realized that the magazines you read reveal a lot about who you are. My family had a typical middle American subscription profile. Reader's Digest, Look, Life, Sports Illustrated, Ladies' Home Journal, National Geographic. My rowdier friends read Dave Campbell's Texas Football and American Rifleman. But due to technology and fractured demographics, the great middle class magazine rack doesn't really exist anymore. Look magazine is long gone, and Sports Illustrated is barely hanging on. So who reads print magazines anyway these days? Well, I still get magazines with a more narrow focus, like Reason for Libertarians and the Princeton Alumni Weekly. But my magazine approach to personal definition is shifting to a new medium, podcasts. Podcasts may be crashingly familiar to many of you, but they're new to me. Being a chronic late adapter, I view podcasts as unknown territory. Since I work at home, I already have more than enough online programming to distract me. Then, after I replaced my battery-challenged Samsung phone with an iPhone 7, I realized podcast value as a source of portable programming. I began doing hour-long walks around Katona, where I live, for exercise. Now, a long walk like that can get kind of boring, so I decided to try a podcast. I started finding programs I liked, some of them lasting exactly as long as the length of the walk. So what do I enjoy? Mostly foreign music and languages. I'm a nut for lifelong learning. The Latin Alternative loops me into trends in Latin music, and the Israel Hour Radio does the same for Hebrew music. Culture Shock, the African music podcast, also sounds promising. So I've cycled through Portuguese and Hebrew language programs, a dip into Dutch. I tried Yiddish too. Learning Brazilian Portuguese through a Brazilian music program works great for me. Lately I've expanded with The Moth and Mortified, two storytelling programs where I'd love to perform. To my delight, I learned that my son and I both subscribe to Radio Lab and This American Life. And podcasts have totally revamped my morning habits. My routine is when I get up, I feed the cats, and then I exercise. For months, I worked out while flipping through local news to CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and then on to the music videos on MTV, VH1, BET, and CMT. The problem, if you've ever watched them, is they are all swamped with mind-numbing advertisements. You know them. Credit repair, auto insurance, MyPillow, CashNet USA, Poshmark. Dear God, make them stop, please. It's gotten to the point I've heard them so often that I memorize them. Money's on the way with CashNet USA. I wish I could forget, but I can't. I spent as much time pointlessly clicking around as I did actually watching content. My fitness routine suffered from all the interruptions. Then I had a brilliant idea. Why not listen to a podcast while I feel the burn? I could hear what I wanted and skip the endless ads, so I decided to try a new program. I thought up something called Take One, which is a podcast of 10-minute segments on Jewish learning with a host and a guest mulling over a page a day of the Talmud. That's the massive collection of legal arguments and stories written down by rabbis about 1,500 years ago. I had tried learning Talmud before, but nothing clicked. But Take One's format and content speak to me. I can get in 3 segments by the time I've stretched, crunched my abs, and pumped up with my hand weights. So the program follows the 7-year cycle of studying the Talmud, so I can listen to something new every day until 2027. Thanks, Take One. I'm still tinkering with what I call the Great American Podcast Magazine stack. Subscriptions come and go. Programs that sound good vanish after a few episodes. Programs of Talmud, Dutch, and Afropop are the friendly office mates I keep me company during my solitary home office days. I'm going to keep browsing for the right vibe at the right time. And who knows, I may be sharing some programs with you in the Great American Podcast Nation. So what's your podcast identity? Thank you.